Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Little Acts of Kindness. This will be Part 55, Chapter 55, entitled Misunderstandings. Izuku shuffled through the halls, Ida and Tokiyami walking next to him. Glancing up ahead, he saw the 6 girls talking to each other, animatedly as they headed towards the lunchroom. As they passed by the teacher's lounge, the door was opened slightly, and Izuku overheard a snippet of a conversation. "What's gotten into you lately? You're going to get in trouble if you keep being an asshole to Mike," Cementos said, tone disapproving. "I am not," Ectoplasm's voice denied. "You really are. Don't tell me this is all because she denied you." "Of course not." "Well, whatever your reason is, you need to get your act together. Aizawa looked about ready to murder you for what you said earlier. And you know Nezu would help cover for him if Aizawa did go." And that was all he heard before he was out of range of hearing the teachers. He frowned, wondering just what was going on with Ectoplasm. Even Yamada didn't know. "Mind your own business," Ectoplasm snapped out, as the door to the teacher's lounge slammed shut behind him, and the pro-hero stormed down the hallway. Izuku shifted to move out of the way of the irate teacher, but yet somehow the teacher still ended up bumping into him. How? He had moved out of the way unless Ectoplasm had moved to purposely bump into him. His stomach twisted painfully as he stared wide-eyed at the back of the pro-hero. Wasn't UA supposed to be different? Ectoplasm hadn't been mean to him the first couple of weeks. It was only after he stopped giving gifts that the teacher started to be mean to him. Mentally nodding, he decided to get a gift for Ectoplasm. Hopefully the teacher would stop being mean to him. "Midoriya, I swear to you that Zashi and I will always grade you fairly. You don't have to get us gifts. All the teachers of UA will, if they are a true hero. If they don't, then that means that teacher doesn't deserve to be teaching at UA. So if a teacher singles you out, misgrades you, or any of your classmates, I want you to come straight to us, okay? We will make sure that teacher knows exactly how much of a mistake it was, and Nezu will also be notified so the teacher can be looked into. You should feel safe at UA, and no teacher should ruin that feeling." Aizawa's promise echoed in his mind. Izuku dismissed it, even as his stomach sank. He didn't want to bother his teachers. What if they got upset at him? What if they decided they didn't like him anymore? Izuku chewed on his necklace a bit, trying to argue against his own thoughts. Aizawa and Yamada did like him. They said they wouldn't leave him. They helped him and spent time with him, even when they didn't have to. "I got a 91 on my last test. How about you, my rival?" Monama's boisterous voice broke him out of his thoughts. Looking up, he realized that he had a tray of food in front of him and was sitting with his friends at their lunch table, the only notable absence being Uraraka, who was sitting at another table with the girls of 1A. 93, Izuku answered. Monoma laughed. "I'll beat you next time. Anyways, how was your day so far?" He shrugged. Monoma paused, staring at him. "What happened?" Izuku hesitated, then just shrugged again. Monoma took the hint and dropped it, starting to say something else, but Dark Shadow came out of Tokiyami, who just sighed, even as Dark Shadow spoke. "The weak multiplier bumped into the unborn one, even after Midoriya tried to move out of the way." "Weak multiplier?" Monoma repeated. "Ectoplasm," Tokiyami informed Monoma. Monoma frowned. "Something has crawled up his pants and died. He's been snappish in class recently. Honestly, he needs a chill pill." "He needs a squib," Tokiyami said. Monoma looked surprised for a moment before laughing. "I don't think we need to deal with squibs." "Squibs?" Izuku asked, frowning. Monoma and Tokiyami exchanged looks, and both spoke as one. "It's a gray oblong pill, quantum nanotechnology CPU. The quantum computer in the pill will travel through your blood until it implants in your brain and it tells you what to do." Izuku frowned, trying to figure out what the two were talking about, so creepily in sync. So, it's like drugs?" Izuku questioned hesitantly. Unknowingly following the script Tokiyami and Monoma were following. "It's better than drugs," Ida popped up, getting wide grins from Tokiyami and Monoma, and Ida mumbled about his brother with pink cheeks. "It's from Japan," Monoma said, his voice taking a singing quality to it. Izuku opened his mouth to comment that they were in Japan, but was just interrupted before he could. "It's a gray oblong pill quantum nanotechnology CPU," Tokiyami sang. "The quantum computer in the pill will travel through your blood until it implants in your brain and tells you what to do," Monoma said, pointing to his throat, then up to his head. "It tells you what to do," Ida echoed, his voice also in a singing tone. Monoma grinned. It's pre-programmed. It's amazing. Tokiyami followed. Speaks to you. Do it, Dark Shadow called out. You behave as it's appraising, Monoma said. Helps you act correctly, Ida continued, cheeks flushed and looking completely embarrassed. Helps you to be cool. It helps you rule, Tokiyami finished. Izuku frowned at his friend, classmate, and rival. So, this squip helps? Ida blinked. Wait, you mean you're actually considering it? Yeah, Izuku said. Even if you wanted one, you can't get them. Squips are fictional. We were quoting lines from the musical Be More Chill, Monoma said, giving a huff. I wish they were real. It'd be kinda nice. Well, so long as they don't try to take over like they did in the play. The squip was nicer in the book, and after it failed to help Jeremy, it asked to be deactivated and told him about the Red Mountain Dew. Tokiyami spoke towards Monoma. I didn't think anyone would actually be convinced by that sales pitch, Ida muttered. Yeah, well, you're a rich boy, Monoma said, giving a laugh and a light shoulder pat. Ida gave an uncomfortable look at that. Monoma frowned, biting his lip. Was it not okay to joke about that? I didn't mean to upset you. It's fine, I just wasn't expecting it. It's not fine if it makes you uncomfortable. You guys are my rivals. I don't want to bring you down, because then you wouldn't be giving your all in our competitions, Monoma said, giving a wide grin, though his eyes remained worried. Ida chopped his hands down. I consider you my friend and rival as well, and I would prefer that you don't joke about me being rich. I know I was privileged growing up, but I don't want that to define who I am. Monoma nodded. All right, no rich jokes. I'll try to remember, but sometimes I say things without thinking, so I might mess up. Now that your clash has come to pass, we should get to the matter at hand, the fact that Midoriya has not seen the musical. We should have a sleepover or something and watch it, Ida suggested. Izuku was still massively confused about what they were talking about. Apparently, if he was understanding correctly, the squip thing they were talking about was a reference to a musical. That sounds good. Are you fine with coming over to one of our houses, or us going to yours, Midoriya? Izuku frowned a bit as he thought about it, but then nodded. Mine is fine. When should we do it? Izuku never had a sleepover before, at least not one in a long time. Unfortunately, I'm busy this weekend, Tokiyami said. Maybe next weekend, then, Izuku suggested. That is fine with me, Tokiyami agreed, nodding his head. Monoma agreed, as did Ida. The lunch bell rang, signaling the end of the break, and the group headed back to their classrooms. Their afternoon lesson passed in a blur of physical working out, and then the day came to an end, and Izuku was heading towards the weapon range to have another lesson with Snipe. He was smiling a bit, excited, as despite his doubts, the gun had proved a bit useful against Dane in the fight, if for nothing more than a slight distraction. Entering the building, his eyes widened as he saw something he never expected from the pro-hero. He was prowling towards 13, eyes dilated in an all-too-familiar way, moving towards 13 with an intent Izuku had seen before, an intent that Izuku had seen directed at him, and he hated, feared, dreaded so much. And now, here it was being directed at someone else. He was moving before he could tell himself to move. The only thing running through his mind was to save 13, to help the pro-hero. Green lightning sparked up his arm as he punched Snipe, placing himself in front of 13. He could feel himself trembling, and he wanted to cry. He hadn't fully trusted Snipe, but he hadn't thought the teacher to be like him. Midoriya? 13 called out from behind him. It'll be okay. I won't let him hurt you, Izuku said determinedly, stuttering as he saw that Snipe was getting back up, rubbing his jaw, mask on from his face. Midoriya, Snipe wasn't going to hurt me, 13 said, coming to stand in front of Izuku. Snipe and I are romantic partners. Izuku's eyes widened, his brain short-circuiting as he realized he had read the situation wrong, and now he had punched a teacher. Oh, All Might, he had punched a teacher. Now he was going to get in trouble. He'd probably get detention. Wait, he punched a teacher. It would be worse than detention. They would expel him. Wait, would he go to jail? Would they put this on his record? He was in so much trouble. Aizawa and Yamada and All Might would be disappointed in him. They would no longer talk to him. Ida would say they weren't friends. Wait, if All Might wasn't going to talk to him anymore, then he would ask for One for All back. If he asked for the quirk back, Izuku would just be quirkless Deku again. Then everyone would know he was a quirkless nobody who was better off dead, and he would be made fun of and tormented and assaulted. and he would be even more of a burden on his mom. His grandfather probably wouldn't want anything to do with him if he became quirkless again. Izuku wouldn't be able to get work in the future and then would become homeless and die in a ditch just like his old math teacher had told him once after Izuku failed to answer a question. He was going to let everyone down and prove his old teachers right, and really, why did Izuku always have to mess up? Why couldn't he just get these things right for once? Why was he such a freak? Why was he so broken that he couldn't even speak right? What had he done to be so cursed? Why was he such a screw-up? Why couldn't he do anything right? Izuku, I need you to breathe. Taking a deep breath, can you do that for me? A familiar voice cut through his thoughts. Wasn't he already breathing? Still, he followed the voice's instructions, taking in a gulp of air. Izuku, can I hug you? The voice said. He trusted the voice. Izuku knew that much, so he jerked his head up and down and soon felt himself being pressed against a warm body, arms wrapping around him. Warm, safe, protected. Breathe with me, kiddo, the voice instructed, and Izuku felt the rising and falling of the chest he was pressed against. Izuku matched his breathing, taking in deep breaths and then releasing it slowly. After a few breaths, he started to calm down enough to realize he was crying and that he couldn't make out anything through the blur of tears. There you go, Izuku. You're okay. You're safe, the voice rumbled. Izuku now recognized the voice of Aizawa. He looked up, peeking through the fringe of his hair at the teacher's face. Aizawa looked calm, and his eyes held a gentle understanding. Take your time. I will protect you as long as you need, Aizawa said, his gaze so full of some emotion that made Izuku know he could believe him. He didn't know what it was, just that it was good. Aizawa would protect him. Izuku's eyes started watering again, and he sniffled, but these tears were different from the ones before, and he clutched onto his teacher, hugging as tightly as he could. He felt the arms around him tighten a bit, returning something that Izuku didn't know he had given. Didn't know what to call it. It was familiar, something he remembered feeling long ago, but it had been so long since he felt like this. Felt safe, completely and utterly like nothing bad would happen so long as Aizawa was protecting him. Eyes closing, he ended up falling asleep against his teacher. But that was okay, because Aizawa was shielding him from the world. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 55 of Little Acts of Kindness. Chapter 56 will be up next. I hope you all are still enjoying this one. Personally, I really like how the author wrote this one out. I like that Izuku was trying to defend 13 and that Aizawa was there for comfort at the end as well. But I also really like the development of the friend group between Tokiyami and Dark Shadow, Ida, and Monoma as well with Izuku. I think that that's really great. I liked the inclusion of the musical stuff in there too. I thought that was really cool. It's one that I knew personally before this, so I thought it was kind of cool that it was included. I was like, oh my gosh, when I first read this, I couldn't believe that it was included in here. I was like, this is so great. But anyways, I just thought it was just a nice little touch to it. And the fact that Izuku was on board with it, he was like being pulled in because they weren't really fully singing it at him. They were just basically like saying the lyrics from it, which was kind of interesting in my perspective, because Azuka's like, yeah, I'm in. Where do I get one of these? So I'm eager to hear your thoughts and reactions to it as well. And as always, thank you so much for listening.